This is AV SuperFriends Off the Rails, an almost regularly scheduled open discussion on audio and video in higher education. We'll sound off about our most brilliant ideas, our dumbest mistakes, and everything in between. And because this conversation will almost certainly go off the rails at some point, we'll end up covering just about everything else. And now, the AV SuperFriends. For August 8th, 2024, it's the best sounding podcast in higher ed. This is the AV SuperFriends Off the Rails. What Mark is signaling at me. I don't know what that means. 9/6. I got the date wrong.
Good. Do it again.
Just leave this in.
I'm not taking it out. Yeah.
For August 9th, 2024, it's the best sounding podcast in higher ed. This is the AV SuperFriends Off the Rails with the correct date on it. Good gravy. All right, broadcasting live to tape from coast to coast, easternmost to westernmost, northernmost to southernmost, gate post to hitching post. I'm your local host who can boast the most milquetoast and utmost humility. I'm Chris Dector. It's time for another Friday afternoon podcast adventure with the AV SuperFriends. And it's a good thing that Mark alerted me that the date was wrong, because then it would have been a Thursday afternoon podcast adventure.
Yes. We don't need that kind of social media nonsense.
It comes out when it shows up, Larry. Cool it.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't matter.
There's people keeping us honest out there. Just whole
it's the
team
thing
of interns
we do.
working on this stuff. Just keep things factual.
We'll tell the interns. All right, so let's say hello to today's panel of august AV SuperFriends. Today I'm joined by a relational integration agent from Kansas City, Jamie Reinhardt.
I don't even know what that is.
Or how to turn up your microphone. You sound like you're 7 feet away from that thing.
I am.
It's the relationship.
Also joined by a central ideation liaison from Corvallis, Oregon, Mark Kolowazinski.
I'm going to think about it. I'm going to have a big idea. I think we all can do it. From the middle out, though. It's going to, just from the core, we're going to talk about it. I have a grand idea.
Only central ideas, I see.
Central ideas is what we're talking about here. They're going to be big little ideas.
And finally joined by a regional impact producer from Greensboro, North Carolina, Larry Darling.
So I only produce impact regionally? Like nothing outside of this little tiny area?
Just small
Think
impacts.
Globally, act regionally.
All right. Well, so
we made it through that.
We made it through. On today's show, we're going to discuss streamlining AV systems to maybe just down to a single device.
A compute.
Or something like that. And the technological arms race for student recruiting. But first, and you've waited all week for it, let's do the news. Yeah. And for the news, we brought the news to you. Actually, second week in a row we've done this, believe it or not. So today's news is a little different. Well, no, it's not different. There is news, and we're going to talk about news, and we're talking about news of one AV company buying another AV company and integrating product lines and all that fun stuff. But instead of us pontificating about it, we decided we'd go right to the source and invite some friends on.
Our entire annual budget flying.
We flew them in economy basic, no luggage,
yes,
on standby. Yep. You wait for a seat at the back. So we're joined
only
by
$5 for the peanuts.
Yes, you pay per peanut.
Yes.
We're joined by Robert Durbin and Travis Cawthorne from Kramer AV to talk about Kramer's recent acquisition of ZeeVee and what that means for the AV over IP ecosystem. I guess something along those lines. I'm going to just punt this one to Mark and say, go.
Well, yes.
Well, so Mark, this is your fault that we're talking to Robert Travis right now.
We didn't even know this was coming. You didn't play the news intro.
You want me to play it again?
We heard it. You didn't hear it?
I didn't hear it.
No,
it was 7 feet away.
Yeah, you're 7 away. So anyway, it came out. This news dropped, and I was like, "This is a great opportunity to get a longtime listener, like friend of the show, and Mr. Robert Durbin. He's been with us here, and this is like, why not pull that thread and watch the whole sweater unravel? And so I figured, let's give Robert a call and see if Kramer wants to come on and talk about it themselves. Because like I said, we could read it, but what fun is that? Let's have people who actually know from the inside and see if we can get some real factual information about what's going on. And I think it's a great story. I think, seeing Kramer go out there and make this acquisition, and what it means. Like, it's actually like we're seeing more development and more people taking the whole SDVOE thing and the ZeeVee part. But I want to hear from Kramer, like what was the position? Like where did we wake up and say, that's what we're going to do, and this is why? Like, I'm really interested in kind of hearing some inside perspective on what and how this came to be. So Robert or Travis, step up to the plate and take a swing.
Hey, well, I'm going to say that ZeeVee makes great stuff. I don't know if anybody is familiar with them, but yes, they make great stuff. They're very innovative, as are we. Being able to combine more smart people in a room, and it's getting tougher and tougher to hire smart people at this point, and bringing both the idea of that, you were talking about how enterprise, that's not for you. Well, we don't believe that, nor do they. So even their, AV over IP management, they've got one version that's a VMware. We've got a software Pantarray solution, which can actually do AV over IP. Guess what? Yeah, on your computers. Yeah. So we're both very much thinking along the same lines. They're heavily invested in USB-C as well, and taking that to the next level, not just DisplayPort 1.2, but actually true extension and using it that way. So I think it's going to be a great alliance. I think that we share a lot of things in common. And, I know a fair amount of the people that work there, and they're great people.
Okay.
I remember them from the Cedia days. That's how old I am.
Okay. So was it a full chunk, like all of ZeeVee, like all bit of the whole, like, because they had some stuff that was outside of it, or was it just a segment of the ZeeVee?
Oh no, it's all.
It's all of it.
It's the whole thing.
It's a whole
train.
enchilada.
Okay. Because I wasn't sure, because I know they do some RF stuff. They have a whole different animals worth of stuff there, and like they have some broadcast pieces, and like so it was interesting to like just wholesale roll that in. I was like, wow, that's actually a pretty sizable acquisition.
Oh yes, and it's our second acquisition in just a few months. The other one was Austin Bentley, which makes like furniture where you can hide all the stuff inside of it, and it's actually been very popular with like large enterprises because the furniture budget is one budget. The AV is a different budget, but all of a sudden when you combine them, it's under budget, and they can install them usually in half a day, which kind of blows people away if they're trying to. Is this
an elaborate play to like have smart couches and furniture? Like, are we going to see the first AV over IP issued like couch? Is that what's happening right now?
No, it would be more like the tables with the legs holding all the goodies and things, or
But if it's a couch, I want one.
But I mean, if it's on the right budget, I mean that is strategic as hell, because I could move that and it's the furniture budget now, and I can get all that tech over on the furniture. Like that is like shrewd.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. I thought so. I was super excited about it. I'm like, at first I wasn't, but then the more I learned about it, I'm like, oh, you're doing the right things, and that's what people want. Yes, very, very good. ZeeVee is also really fond of doing evaluation kits, so they have big rolling carts and even ones that dealers can buy. And I've been a fan of that for years. I mean, you know me, I love to drag around a case, and like I'll pack less clothing and less anything so I can bring more gear with me.
All the demo kits with Robert's underwear, and I was like, oh, sorry, that's the wrong
sorry.
one.
Nope, that's my shirt for tomorrow. My bad.
Do you think that this acquisition changes kind of the road mapping that we saw for Kramer moving forward, or are you just kind of rolling in, or are you going to kind of have all these lines? Do you think this is going to add an edge to a specific line or anything? Because I'm kind of curious, like with how this meets up and squares up with like KDS and like what's going on there.
I think it's going to give us both separation, and we're going to start integrating them. But I'll let Travis speak to this too, because he's been involved in some more conversations as well.
Yeah, no, for sure. And thanks for having us on here today. I think in general, there's products that they have that we don't have. There's products we have that they have. And so those products that, we kind of both have together, we're going to help kind of refine each other, come out with the best version of those. And then in addition, add in some of those other products like, the SDVOE, especially with them kind of being, really, really early in the forefront of SDVOE. I think there's a lot that, we can learn from them on that, and, definitely kind of grow together and help strengthen our, AV IP offering.
Gotcha. So was there a lot of interest specifically in that SDVOE, that alliance? Because that was kind of my curiosity when I saw it. Was this to really get that and bolster and have that pillar kind of be a part of the Kramer piece of it?
Yes,
I think that's one aspect.
Okay.
Yeah, not all of it. I mean, they even have, some medical, hospital certified products that I think is really interesting. And then I think when you take the, AV over IP is one piece of it, and then you start integrating the rest of the, product categories that Kramer brings to the table, from, control, connectivity with cabling, software management, Robert was talking about with Panarray. I think it's going to be, a fuller suite of a solution that we can kind of come to the market with.
Cool. Chris, I know you mentioned it prior. We didn't get on this piece, but I think you had some numbers you had in mind that we've heard in the SDVOE concept, and I think that's the 2110 thing, right? Is there any crystal ball on the 2110 piece of this that you'd see coming? And if you don't know the answer, I get it. But I think we're all very curious.
Well, I get an answer. I mean, I think it'd be great to see that everywhere. But I mean,
I think we were hungry for it. I didn't know if this was an alignment with any of that kind of decision-making process.
We have not heard yet. But I am a huge fan as well, which and so from the back of the room, I'll be the one who keeps raising my digital hand or physical hand when we get together in person. And I'm also very excited about having more esports offering, because I watch the kids playing those games and they're learning real world skills. How do we best utilize the team? Okay, somebody has to get in the sacrifice role so we can get, they're really learning actual real world skills, perhaps more than they are in many of their other classes.
How is it just the back-end engineering for those events and the capability that exists for that is some of the most complex engineering you're going to see. Multiple shows where time is like extremely important. The network is extremely important. Like every aspect of that is so intentionally rolled out that it's as complex as you possibly can be and very specific in its delivery. So I just so to look at that as kind of the edge of where things are moving, I think it's a smart move. And when I look at ZeeVee's site, like I see some stuff that looks very broadcast, right? And that's where kind of where I start thinking 2110. So. Yeah.
And you hit the nail on the head. You know how I never shy away from the heart of the problem. The more interested I am, I'm like, how much more time can I throw at this?
Well, I think it's awesome, and to kind of see that you guys are growing and moving forward. I think there's tons of opportunity, and keep buying them up and moving forward and refining and bringing quality product. I think that's the name of the game for everybody. So there's more options on the table for everybody.
Yes, and I think we're going to get some great talent out of this too, and I'm very excited about that.
Absolutely.
As well. I've known many of these people for years, and it'll be exciting to work with them.
Awesome.
And when we get toys, guess who's going to be bringing them to show them to you?
Well, that's what I was going to say. If people wanted to get a hold of you and say they're really interested in this, and they want to try out some of this, what's the path? How, if people are listening and they want to get their hands on this, what is the way that people can get a hold of you and or somebody that can show up with a box full of underwear and product?
They can just email me, and I'll make sure to connect them to the right person in the right region. As Larry was saying, think globally, act regionally. It's just first initial R, last name Durbin, Durbin at KramerAV.com. Now, we also have something coming up, a K-Wave tour that we're going to do in October 24th at the Tulalip Casino, because believe it or not, that casino is Kramer. Pretty much end to end, and they keep adding more and more of it. Tulalip is a bit of a drive, I know, but if anybody wants to attend that, please reach out to me. I would love to have you. It's going to be a nice event. We're also going to have a little training there as well, but we're going to do more of these. And Kramer has invested more in the West now than they have probably in the prior decade. And I hear all the time from my VP and from my exec staff, they're like, nope, we're doubling down on the West. We've never really supported the West. We've never been there in a strong presence. We're here to do that now. And they know me. I'm pretty much not going to stop until everybody says yes or no or go away.
Like that damn Robert guy is here again.
Yeah, playing with his stupid K-Lock cables, swinging his vias around like a helicopter because they don't fall off.
Hey, it's an eye catcher.
It works.
Hey,
it works.
It does. Yeah, I mean, we were at this little show. It
catches you right in the eye,
Yeah, exactly. I had a bunch of people just stop, mouths gaped open, going, "Is there a trick or like a secret handshake or I'm like, nope."
Yeah. Well, I think to see growing that ecosystem where you guys are, there's been a lot of players that are kind of doing it and dabbling in it, and I think that it's smart. You guys have a good ecosystem there to kind of fill that out and kind of think larger, and there's a way to kind of keep growing and move to be another player in this that seems to be oversaturated with trons and sys's of the world. It's good to see another large, quality company step up and kind of, have some alternate options. So
thank you so much.
Great.
And we do see where you were seeing the idea of a PC being the solution. So, that's kind of where we're going with the whole panda array thing is it's possible. I mean, it was something talked about 25 years ago, wasn't possible. I can't tell you how many times I was on Microsoft councils because I live up here and knew people, they'd call me in and I'm like, nope, not going to work. Wouldn't be prudent. Not at this juncture. 1,000 watts of light.
Exactly.
I would take my fee and the free pass to the Microsoft store and leave.
Yep. Well, brave new world. So
exactly. Thank you so much for having us.
Absolutely.
Always a pleasure. And
we
I look forward to seeing you in the real world and not pushing the Chrysler.
Sorry, not pushing the Chrysler. Anyway, Travis, maybe get a hold of you guys, Travis or Robert. Are you guys socials or anything like that? You want to keep it all through Kramer? Any last little call outs?
Yeah, no worries.
Absolutely. You can find me on LinkedIn, of course, email as well, which is going to be tcawthorne at Gmail, or I'm sorry, tcawthorne at KramerAV.com. Also can find me on LinkedIn, like I said, Instagram, all the socials. But we appreciate you guys having us on and happy to be a part of it.
Yeah, and if anybody just wants to call me and chat, I've put my number in there, 206-867-2145. Just call me.
You are a brave man.
You're brave, man. Yeah.
I know. I am not afraid.
It's Robert. He's like that. So awesome. Well, thank you guys for coming on and, talking about the news with us. I mean, we always love having you on, Robert. You've been here. Travis, you've been on the show. So maybe you'll get on as many times as Robert has. So appreciate you guys coming along.
Maybe. It might take a while.
Yeah.
Chris, it's a pleasure. Larry, have fun.
Always.
Jamie,
Mr.
we'll see you soon.
Cool. Thanks, guys.
Thank you all.
Bye.
See you guys. Thanks.
Hey, you look like you're pretty good at hanging projector mounts. You're probably able to run up a ladder with a projector on one shoulder and spin it onto the pipe without missing a beat, right? Well, are you ready for the next level in projector mounting hardware? Then try independent amalgamated frustration mounts. Our factory kits don't line up with any of the popular projector brands. Universal mount interface? What's that? Each independent amalgamated frustration mount ships with almost all the hardware you need to fully integrate with your projector. And for an extra special treat, we'll mix metric and standard hardware and ship them loose in the box. Our anchor mounting points come pre-stripped and cross-threaded for your convenience, and none of our set screws or tension nuts will maintain their position for more than a few minutes, just long enough for you to get down off the ladder and start working on something else. Got a tough installation with a short throw or ultra short throw projector? Independent amalgamated frustration mounts are a perfect solution and will ensure your labor charges really add up. For your next project, try independent amalgamated frustration mounts. You'll hate them. And coming soon, frustration mounts for LCD monitors and TVs. So for our first segment today, wanted to talk about this concept. Well, Mark, you and I worked on this in like 2016.
We
tried this. We tried to build it. We tried to actually make this happen.
Yes.
The concept of just holistically taking a step back, looking at a classroom, standard, normal, everyday classroom, conference room, whatever you call it, but classroom space is where we started. And saying, what are people doing in these rooms? What stuff are they using? And can we get rid of everything else? And basically circling around the concept that the only thing they really need is a computer.
And people are probably ripping their hair out right now. But no, I gotta support the BYOD.
I need a Blu-ray player. Every room gets a Blu-ray player.
And I want to kind of first say, okay, and I'm using air quotes for those that can hear them and see them.
You have to make the air quote noise.
Yeah.
What does that sound like?
Yeah.
Let me see if I can find
teaching and learning environment. Teaching and learning, I want to kind of just curb that right there. Teaching and learning room. Some may call it a classroom. Whatever it may be. There, closed it. So, what are the services you need to provide in said space? What is it that you're trying to do here? And I think moving into wherever we are now, I want to believe that a lot of the classes we have can and should be being delivered from your LMS. Your content, all your stuff in a well thought out, well delivered, curated curriculum. We're into this digital world. And I think that's where I start to think about this. If all of your content, everything is well curated in that spot, and you have a good handle on your class and how it is. And now I know, Larry, you're saying maybe that's not the reality.
No, I'm just saying that that's a very one-directional way of looking at the learning experience. It may be,
but the technology piece specifically, the need for technology in there, if that is the case, and most things can kind of be distilled down to this computer is delivering the bulk of my digital content in that teaching and learning space, what other additional things do you really need to be putting in there? And I think that's where I start. And I am the one who's fumbling through like trying to make Teams rooms and all that other stuff work as well, like in the teaching and learning environment, because I believe that maybe we don't need to be in a world where we have all these switching devices and inputs and all this other stuff just in case somebody walks in with their thing and they need to plug it in and yada, yada, yada. Like, do we need to actually be doing that anymore? Like, I think that's how we come back to this conversation often, that maybe we could get by with just one source in that space being the compute, as Chris had mentioned. I'll stop and you guys can tell me how much of a fool I may be. If not,
apparently we all agree, and we're all right. Well, thanks everybody.
Yeah,
we'll just roll out.
I don't really disagree with that. I mean, I've been trying to scale it down. I'm down to 3, and I think in the next version, I will be down to you can bring your laptop, you can bring your computer or the computer that's already in the room.
Bring my own desktop.
Bring mine in with me. 24-inch monitor.
It would not be a huge stretch to just say if you want to show your laptop, open up Teams.
Mm-hmm. Right. The best BYOD connection I have is share.zoom.us.
It's the cloud. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
It is not a cable.
Well, and
going into some converter.
So there may be people listening struggling with this concept of like the only thing you really need in the room is the computer. But if you take again, you have to step back from what you're trying to from the types of content and go, what are they showing? Okay, they're showing. If it's an LMS, that means it's a browser. It's a frickin' browser. Mm-hmm. If they're doing web conferencing, Zoom, Teams, Google, WebEx, whatever, again, it's through a browser or an application. That's it. On the compute, again. If they're showing even a Blu-ray or DVD, just please stop doing that. But if you are, most likely you have the capability to do that through an optical drive on the compute, or stop doing that. Larry shakes his head no. I agree. I don't
put a portable one, plug it in.
Or don't do that.
Or
just get a player.
Yeah, get a player. Here's a USB connection. Go.
Yeah, give them the actual drive. Yes, USB device. Dock cam, USB. Capturing PTZ cameras around the room, or webcams or whatever. Microphones, USB to the compute. And again, you could even expand this to say, well, I'm going to provide BYOC, whatever
stuff.
I'm going to provide the capability for you to drive that stuff from your own compute. But again, you're still talking about a compute at that point. To Larry's point, why not just have them join the same exact session the other one's already running, because that simplifies everything. But you're if you see on this, you're basically only a device or adapter away from almost everything ending up there anyway, and all the sources starting there. So while this may not be a panacea for everybody, this is, I think, in my opinion anyway, this is clearly the way things are heading. Because just like Larry, I just was working on this morning, commissioning 25 brand new spaces in a building. There are 3 sources running in this system. One of which, so the installed computer, laptop, and then the document camera. And the document camera already has a USB connection to the computer. So why not just get rid of that one? And now I'm down to 2, and the other one's just a laptop, so I can get rid of that one and go to the content sharing. So,
but why? Like, there are so many transmitters right now that have the 2 inputs. Like, why not just leave the flexibility of that HDMI connection that auto switches when somebody plugs it in and keeps the room simple, but remains flexible enough that if an outside entity comes in, they can easily connect.
But Larry, you're saying that the flexibility to use their own compute to do all the same stuff.
Their own compute. Exactly.
I don't like swinging my whole infrastructure to enable somebody else's computer. Like, why move the whole infrastructure of cameras and mics and all that stuff?
Oh, I wouldn't do any of that.
Just so that somebody can use BYOD. Like, that's, don't do that.
But if they're bringing in a guest lecturer and he doesn't have login credentials to get there and you don't want to set everything up, he can plug in his laptop and present.
They should have a sponsored account.
That's a different group.
I'm giving you the whole like central.
Oh, that's a scheduling thing. Yeah, the security team will be like, no, you should know who that is.
I'm just saying, for no more expense than it is it worth the limiting
So I think
ourselves?
you're bumping up against event space here. And I'm not. This is not our classrooms events. That's what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about that. To me, but the argument you just made is the thing that everybody who runs event spaces always say. Well, what about the guy who comes in with their MacBook and they need to plug it in?
I've seen that in art classes. I've seen that in science classes. It happens.
Yeah, we have tons of. Okay, that I don't disagree that this is maybe the way we're headed. That it could simplify everything, except that you are putting a lot of faith into operating system and software system programmers to actually allow you to do the things that we need to do. To Chris's point, well, you got to bring in USB, and then you have the USB, and you have another USB, and you have another USB. As long as the USB bus can handle
it's USB all the way down, Jamie.
And okay, fine. Well, then we'll use network.
Sure.
Right? We use AV over IP, so we'll just put the magic network codec in there.
Yeah.
Pick your version.
Yeah, pick your poison.
Oh, wait. That runs at the administrative level, and you're not allowed to do that, or that runs on the back end side, and that was this. Oh, wait. I'm just like...
Oh, I love all the argument because I agree with you 100%. I agree. All the awareness, awareness is fair because you have to be able to answer for all of these things, and I think that's the exercise, right? And going through just jamming Teams room into a classroom environment, all the administrative stuff we have to deal with, and that arguably is just one computer. There it is. That's all it's doing. It's managing all the other pieces. I've gone as far as you're not going to get a USB ingester at all. If you want to join, you're going to go and join from the application, as blasphemous as that may be. But guess what? It actually, you can get a glimpse of what this may be. Like, I'm not saying Teams rooms are going to proliferate all over your campus and your classrooms, but the single device, single connection to your display environment, there is a lot of elegance in that type of approach because you're not having to do all this unique boutique switching and all that stuff. If arguably your 90% is just happening from the single source.
And I do think that is happening. Even if it's the virtual all-in, you're basically we always bitch and moan the all-in-wonders are stupid. Well, now we're making a different all-in-wonder. It's like a few years ago. Well, Teams rooms and Zoom rooms, it's a codec. It's a modern codec. How stupid is this? We just got rid of all of our codecs and now we're buying new codecs. And now we're in this argument today of, well, what you've just proposed is the all-in-wonder. It does all of your audio, all of your video, all of your inputs and outputs, all of your connections to the internet, and all of these and all of those. Oh, and you just need a single sign-on. But all-in-wonders suck. We need to get rid of those.
No, I get it. Yeah. So
I'm mixed because I've tried the same thing. So I tried to use NDI tools to get camera in.
That's what I want to talk about that. The first time you experienced NDI desktop, the first common person you shared
Dante
that
domain
with,
manager or something.
Tell me that you're like, holy shit, did it not challenge your belief of what is possible in a modern AV environment?
Well,
you all did it. You're like, holy shit,
it.
I don't need any of this. I could just originate right from this PC and get my content to that display.
Yes, and that's one of the things I really liked about it. And then you started running into all of these other administrative overheads. And I wonder if in our siloed world of IT, because we all are IT, except we're all siloed, are we ever going to be able to make this come together?
I think we will. I think we will see the collapsing of these VLANs. The computer people versus the AV people. It's not real. That's not a thing. If you're that's going to go away.
No, I think you're on the right side of that argument. unfortunately, I think the other side of that argument is everybody else involved.
Sure, but those are opportunities. It's the only way you can see it. Like, there's no reason to say we're going to go retreat back to like spigots and tube technology because we don't want to move forward. Like, we can't look at it that way.
I start looking at, one of the reasons that I started pulling back a little bit on some of the direct-to-computer NDI feeds and some of that was that at some point it was extremely difficult to narrow down who could access that. Mm-hmm. If that software is deployed everywhere, yes, there are tools, everybody, I get it, but they're not elegant, they're not simple, and they're not enterprise
Just
ready.
plug in another NIC, Jamie, it's fine.
I have my wing, and I can do it within my own little infrastructure, my island network, but when you go enterprise, it goes batshit crazy. And I started like, wait a minute, you can get this camera feed out of the chancellor's conference room anywhere,
right?
And I think so. There's just all these hurdles that I don't see the people who own the hurdle. It just, now we get into the job security thing. I am with you. It is all fake. It is all artificial barriers that we can all get through. Yet nobody wants to because
it's occupational identity. I get it. But the part that fascinates me is that doing like the NDI native, like that's a whole nother step. Like that is like, let's collapse even some more transport out of this and just put it all on there. And I think that is a brave new world. I don't think we're there yet. But I think going back to like the original concept of everything around this one lone wolf PC in the room, like that starts to make sense when you start having your leadership start talking about, we're going to make sure that every class we have is offered for remote delivery. I'm not saying recording or just generic Zoom, but more along the lines of traditional distance education. We're going to have
is there a functional difference? Campus. I mean, I have to ask that question.
Well, I think one is surveillance, one is interactive. And I would understand that if you design well and you have a space that's going to deliver the true distance education model, where you're going to really value all that experience, you're not just slapping a camera and an overhead microphone in the room and walking away. That's not what I'm talking about. And now you're saying, okay, well, how are we managing all of that? How are you managing your curriculum, your students in your curriculum? And we start looking at offerings like class. I shared with you guys, like that part being rolled in, and sitting really nice in your LMS and giving you all that collaboration tool. Yes, you can run Teams, you can run Zoom, do all that stuff too. But these products that are really aligned for teaching and learning at the LMS level that are interoperating with our analog environments, all in that PC, you can start to see where it starts to align and make a lot of sense, where you're not having all this external switching infrastructure to then feed into the cheapest USB adapter you have. Everything sits really clean and native in that ecosystem. I think that's where I start to get really curious. Like, could we pull this off? One PC, one input, one output, or a couple displays, whatever it is. I mean, if it's via AV over IP, we're going to go to two outputs to two different things. How do we want to do it? But I'm really
same thing shows
I think
everywhere.
You can get there.
Same.
You can do camera and PC.
I do too. I think you can. I
think you can. I don't.
But
I'm cautiously optimistic here.
We're 5 years from some of this. I mean,
think so?
Okay, so let's talk about all these people with their Teams rooms, and when we make fun of all the comments we see online and these message boards and stuff, says, well, I've got my Polycam and it's across the room. I need a USB extender that'll get me 700 feet.
Well, they started in the wrong place. Yeah.
Don't we all?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, but when we start saying we're going to collapse this down to a single PC, you have two options, network or USB, right? Well, we've already established that. Oh, is there more? You can enlighten me in a minute. But we've already established that USB has its own issues, and then
I'm not extending USB. I'll tell you that. I'm not going to
stop doing that.
Well, even if you go baseband into something, we're now back to Tchotchke Town, which is what we're trying to avoid.
Well, what's wrong with Tchotchke Town in the sense where if you have the right Tchotchke that converts all that shit at the last 6 inches?
I'm looking for widgets here. I'm out of tchotchkes. I want widgets.
Let's go to gadgets then.
Yeah. Okay.
What's the point of having a one box to kick if you got to have all these damned widgets?
You got them anyway.
I don't think
you have them anyway.
I don't think we can do the one box beyond presentation. Like what Jamie did as a science experiment was cool, but supporting.
Hey, everybody, mark that down.
I'm just saying, like, I would not want every room on my campus just NDI from the cameras to like Dante going straight to the computer. Like I like those boxes I can manage and support a little bit easier.
So let's engineer this thing here for a second. So let's say we have the computer. We're gonna agree that there's gonna be a computer.
Well, and also I do want to bring up, and
the exercise was the only thing, wasn't it?
Maybe we haven't gotten there yet, but even if we have, I think when we say we're talking about a single device, it's not to say that it's the only thing in there, but it's the single thing with which people are interacting, and it may still require some other, you may need an audio processor of some sort, and you still need a projector and display and all that.
That's where we started, but Mark is slowly trying to get us all into it is the only thing in the room.
Yeah, well,
literally, it's a giant laptop that they open the screen and hold it up for everyone to look at.
It's just your phone. Yeah. We're just calling each other. We're done. We're not even doing it.
What if you use your phone in an old school, like 1960 style opaque projector? You put it under there and it just blows it up on the screen. Oh man, this is awesome! I'm gonna go build this.
Lovely.
I like it.
So to me, okay. I'll curb it here a little more for you. It's not going to be the only.
Put some rails around this room.
Yeah,
that's what you said, damn it.
No. The only source. Okay. Do we need to be switching and accommodating all these multiple sources in a room? I don't think you do.
I think we're already.
Well, yeah, and,
right? All of us are already bearing that.
And I'm going to backpedal slightly to agree more with Larry that I will allow two sources if both of them are computers.
Yes.
But that's really to accommodate the what if. That maybe we're being nice. I would challenge that you need to offer that as part of your core delivery.
What if I offer that by allowing them to bring in whatever the hell they want, but they're joining the same network-based session that the other thing's already running?
And that's where I stand, because I hate using our internal machines. So
that's fine.
I will always bring my own.
Yeah, Mr. Dual Boot Mac running weird shit on his computer.
So everybody agrees with me
every single time.
I'm the one actively getting rid of HDMI cables, so I will take the other
single-handedly,
side. No,
we're
not going to have
some nippers, just
auxiliary.
He went to China. He's cutting the heads off. Everyone coming off the
boat.
So in this version of this reality, I'm going to say that no, we're not going to have a wire connection. I'm going to say nope, we're not going to do it.
It's a bold strategy, Cotton. Let's see if it pays off.
It is. And I know people will, oh my God. But if your stance is you're teaching from the LMS and you're delivering it this way, there is a pathway for you to join that session and share your content.
Correct.
That is going to be the directive. I'm taking that stance that leadership said, you're chopping it down, single source, here we go, cost effective.
And Mark, of course, when you are joining that session wirelessly, you're joining that through a proprietary appliance, which also costs more than the compute that's sitting right next to it, right?
No way am I going to put some wireless bridge mechanism in there that's doing
bridge him a widget.
I told you the connector is the web page. You go to the website and you hit share.
$2,200 and then $3,000 a year, Jamie. Come on, pay for that.
Yeah. So, I think we stumble into this conversation often, Chris. I think you and I back channel communicate around you could just do it with just this one thing. And this is kind of where I've even come where are the commercial hubs that are kind of giving us this interfacing we do? Because I think that's where we're up against. Are you going
to announce something right now?
Nope.
Oh, damn.
The whole point that having to have Tchotchke Town and Widget Fest all going on at the same time is a recipe for disaster, right?
Potentially, but
that's what we're all potentially, but we're doing it anyway.
But is it a necessary evil
adapters
at this
are you having
point?
Back there right now?
Yes.
One.
Is it?
You're doing it wrong.
I have two.
I got two.
What are your two?
One for audio and cameras, and one for audio, one for cameras. So
same.
And depending on the room, I can smash that down to just one, but then I have DocCam coming in, so that is two. So I guess.
So you're not coming off DSP native into something?
No, if I do DSP audio only, then you get your audio connection through USB. That's one. Can call that a widget.
It's USB. It's not a USB adapter, right?
Correct.
So USB as the native thing.
I wasn't calling a DSP a tchotchke.
No, to me, a DSP is not a
widget.
Yeah.
A tchotchke is
you just want the adapters.
The Madgewell.
Then I would say
Epiphan capture device.
One if I'm using baseband cameras, then one. If I'm using network cameras, then zero.
Yeah. Yeah. So to me, I'm doing the SDI conversion off the cameras, and then that goes in. Pick your flavor.
What are you doing that for?
That's it.
Jamie just buys an SDI-enabled PCI card.
I aspire to be that. My infrastructure is aligned for me to do that when I'm crazy enough to do that. I mean, I'm crazy enough to do some things.
Come on, you're going neck deep into teams.
We're going to be there,
but you won't get into up to your knees.
I'm not saying
in
we
some
won't.
kind of network
I'm not
video.
saying we won't. It's just that the investment we made so far was currently built around the SDI and a network path, and that's my infrastructure.
Well, and Jamie, to your point,
God intended.
One cable every camera.
Jamie, to your point,
let's go.
You're not wrong. There's better ways to handle those cameras in a Teams environment, but all of the Teams, Zoom, whatever room systems all think that USB is the end all be all because IT people, PC people understand USB. The minute they see a different connector, they're like,
"This is where my widgets come in, right? Because I have to have a decoder.
You got to get it back off that network, right?
But it's prepared."
What about a second NIC? Would that count as an adapter?
There's somebody out there screaming right now, the NIC thing, just like you said, Chris.
I have 3 NICs.
Jamie,
4.
if you had an NDI, is that on the same VLAN as your computer? That sounds blasphemous. It's gonna interfere with your control system.
Oh, no, it doesn't.
No, it's fucking not. No. Yes.
It doesn't. Trust me.
But we have to have it.
Well, here's the irony.
The manufacturer told us this 24 years ago that we had to segregate our control systems in our PCs.
Yeah, let me tell you, it doesn't. It doesn't.
So I guess maybe a question for the panel. Who does put their PCs, their computers, their instructor computers, their installed computers like God intended on a different VLAN than the rest of their stuff?
Yes.
I would imagine 90% of everybody listening to this is probably.
Now the question is that for?
I don't want it. I want to get away from.
Is that for security? Is it for management? Is it for access control?
They're going to say
security.
All of those.
Yeah.
Because and it's not to keep that stuff from getting into our stuff. It's to keep our shit from getting into theirs.
Yeah.
It's to keep us
is
out.
This you got your peanut butter into my chocolate, and you got your chocolate in my peanut butter scenario?
Yeah,
absolutely.
And again, in my case, it's all on the same switch. Mm-hmm. It's VLAN partitioned out. It's more to make because our desktop people take care of all of that for me, so it makes it easy for them. They just hit the thing and go. It's just done. I don't have to worry about it.
Well, I've even gone one step farther than that, Jamie. Because I did the same thing. They on that port's on a different VLAN, et cetera, whatever. Now I'm even going to I'm activating a separate port on the wall and plugging the computer into the wall because then it doesn't even touch my stuff.
Yes.
Because too many times I've had them
2 ports. PC VLAN, control VLAN.
Well,
that's what pipes in.
Yeah, in my case, it's PC VLAN, and then my network switch with all the rest of my nonsense. But yes.
Well, yeah, haven't gone down the road Larry's gone and had to pay.
Larry has 1,700 ports in every room.
Yeah,
and they're all.
No, I don't.
Oh, it's right. Your island world now.
Yeah, I can't. I would like to do that, but that would be expensive.
Larry's living the island life, man. God, Lyle's gonna kill me for that.
PC VLAN,
Lyle,
and
we need drops
AV
from you for
VLAN that can connect to one device.
So if you were going to do this, what would it look like?
I've already done it.
If you're guilty enough to say computer, DSP, one encoder, a decoder, one button panel turning things on and off, light volume control, and whatever sync and speakers you want.
If we're doing it this, I don't even want a button panel.
I'm kind of there too. I'm kind of saying, could you land your controls on your desktop? And people are going to scream.
Wait.
I understand.
What controls?
Go ahead. What are you doing? Turning
volume
display
control.
On. Volume control. And
that's on the computer.
Display wakes up when you wake the computer up.
Mm-hmm. See, the magic of CEC, it works almost all the time sometimes.
But in the world where ADA is saying we have to have distributed audio and all that stuff and yada, 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 and arguably you have audio that's going into your capture, right? If you're going to be doing that, are you doing any other control of that stuff?
Do you really want the screen, the big projector screen, to wake up as soon as the instructor logs in? You don't want the instructor to be able to control that so they can answer their email or do anything else.
Dumb world, yes.
No.
It just happens. No friction. No. They wake it up, it'll happen.
You know what? Let's go. Yeah, I'm going to automate it. You're going to walk into the room, it's going to come down.
Larry, let me ask this. Why are we turning that display off? Just leave it on 24/7. It's easier that way.
That's not a good question. I'm not going to answer that.
You're telling me you don't have those rooms right now where you're pretty sure in the middle of the night, you're like, I'm pretty sure that projector's probably still on over
there. I was dumb enough to ask the question from one of the Tronicesses of the world. I said, hey, do you have any plans on being able to... The Tronicesses of the world.
Like that.
It said, do you have any plans to maybe break open or get access to like Teams room or Zoom type stuff in your system? And they said, oh, no. We Microsoft will not give us access to that at all. Because I wanted to explore some of you all remember the old Cisco codec module that had all the feedbacks, and you can take that call, turn things on. Like,
it was awesome.
It was awesome, right? And like, so they're like, no,
Was it though?
Hell no, Microsoft's never going to ever let us do that. And they were.
Well, you'd be wrong.
Yeah, there it is again. The ability to do that and make and drive logic through automation from like a call control and things like that, and they're like, no, that Microsoft is the castle, and we're just also.
And that's an interesting take from them, because logically they would want to do that for that exact same automation that they want to provide. So the question is A, Microsoft and the other similar providers, Zoom, Teams, or not Zoom, Teams, Zoom's, Google, WebEx, whatever else out there, are they going to start providing that? Is someone else going to start providing that, and that will lead them to, or allow them to start to usurp a lot of what Teams and Zoom and others are doing? Or are we going to see some other player come in and completely upend it because they do allow that level of access?
Maybe.
Because I don't disagree. You're right. They almost need to have some sort of network-based API for general basic automation, so you can, on whatever flag it's throwing, whatever variable it's landing in that table, that system on or call start or call mute or whatever, because there's already capability for that with UVC USB controls. So why not extend that out to the next thing? Or, now as I think about it, I'm just speaking out loud, and it's interesting to see the company who makes this. Where's the UVC to everything Adapterino box that is basically that can read UVC status? Yes, and on the backside is a super widget, like those awesome ones from like Global Cache, that like the GC6. And by the way, if you guys haven't looked at these, super freaking cool. Global Cache that makes these little it's like a modular frame with these things that are relay and serial and contact closure and all this stuff in one, GPIO, all this nonsense for those, like, how do I bridge the digital to analog world through this thing, most of which are PoE powered and all the rest. But where's going to be that thing that like talks to like Teams status and allows you to do all sorts of crazy nonsense?
That's an awesome idea, but only if it comes with an RS-232 connector on it.
Some of them do.
Then it would be awesome.
Some of them do.
But Larry, to what you're saying though is you still have a bunch of
what are we doing?
You still have a bunch of environmentalish stuff that needs that level of communication.
We do, and that's part of the learning environment. And we can simplify the tech side so much, but there's still the environmental side. But
the thing that always catches people, maybe it's not the thing, but one of the things that always seems to trip people up is that very crap. Coming in and having to, what do I press to do this? And what do I press to do that? If arguably we know they're coming in and they need to use the stuff, can we not just automate against that? I know we're getting away from the original topic.
We use Jamie's little show me button, arcade buttons. As long as we empower the instructor to have control over what's on that screen, I'm fine with it.
But that's the same argument that convinces the Tronicists of the world to take Teams Room and put it in another flipped fucking page and force people to go back and forth. Like, that is a terrible idea.
No, it can be whack-a-mole. It can be one button that makes it work, but they have to be able to turn it on.
Nesting that is coming up in these rooms. This is one of the reasons that it's drives me to avoid them, and two, it really makes me struggle with the using them as the one box solution, because if you want to have any kind of extra control, it's nested upon nested, and most folks now get confused with a typical touch panel. That's why we're all going back to buttons. Which is weird, because they can operate their damn cell phone, but we can't get them to press.
Can they though?
Yeah, can they? I'm all in. I'm getting rid of everything. Just computer. That's it. You've all convinced me.
Well, but if we go back
I've validated the craziness we're going.
You start getting everything come in and out of that machine on one wire.
That's what
I feel you're talking about.
It's happening, yes.
And you're going to fail miserably.
I hope so.
I know, because I already did.
I know. Well, I think you did.
Already did it or already failed?
The market wasn't ready for you.
Oh, I've already failed multiple times.
I know. The tool set wasn't as robust as it can be. And I think that's... we're on that edge now, right? I think there's enough better quality tools that will allow this to actually happen.
4 years away from a quality
maybe
tool.
Or longer. I mean, I think correct me, but I think we all agree that this is the way things are going, but there are all these hurdles to get over, and we're not there yet.
Well, you say that, but in a previous episode, you also said that everybody will eventually end up in Island Town again. So
Are you going back?
Maybe we'll
I don't know what I
this
said
direction.
previously. Are you digging through transcripts? What's happening here?
Saying that
That's not
everybody
real.
was like, yeah,
It's not
Larry's
real.
already there, and we're going to go back to Island Town if Zero Trust does
No
what
way.
it does
It's going to be
eventually.
one big island.
Wait, but
one big pool.
Jamie
All
just
hanging out in
said
there.
if we can get it down to a single connection, so we have our single source box, whatever, our single connection, presumably some sort of network transport. Most of those devices said network is talking to are on an island. Aren't these functionally the same things?
Dude, there is a university 45 miles south of here that they have nothing. You walk in, it's one HDMI port on the wall, and that is all you
You're
get.
that close to Western Kentucky University?
Exactly. So,
They
like,
don't have that either.
so I think
Oh, they
there's
have a
people out
VGA
listening
port
like,
on the wall.
dude, we're just BYOD. We don't have anything. We don't switch anything in the room. What are you talking about? Like, so
Well, you know, my son goes to a school like that, and it's a 1-to-1 school. Everybody gets the same laptop, which in my mind would make this the perfect scenario,
Yes.
right? Because everybody can be given an image system that just works wherever it goes. In our worlds where most of us live, where we have the ad hoc, whoever brings in whatever, that's where it gets really sticky.
So if you were in a governed environment that said all of your devices are going to have USB-C capability modernized within the last 3 years, and everybody's got access to that, and everything was distilled
I'd
down
already
to
have it
one
collapsed.
USB-C port on the wall, you'd be okay with it?
I'd already have it collapsed.
Yeah.
I've already, like I said, I've been trying to do this, and I keep running into.
I think
the other
everybody
bull
is.
crap.
Like, you're seeing that the manufacturers, we're going to put USB-C on this encoder. Is that going to be cool for you? I'm like, I don't need
Does it work?
5 HDMIs and one USB-C. I just need one USB-C. Like, what is the point?
Well, and the challenge with the BYOD spaces, and I understand that, or the BYOD environments rather, and I understand the attraction to that. Hey, I don't have to have another device in there. They're bringing in their own device. And it all comes and goes from that device. But as you guys saw, less than an hour ago, when I joined this very call and had the wrong microphone selected because Windows decided that today I'm using this microphone, and you let me talk for like 2 minutes before you pointed out that I'm on the wrong freaking microphone again. And I like to think that I'm somebody who's pretty savvy about devices connecting.
We let you think
For
that.
the most
Yeah.
part, generally, I do have a cheat sheet over here. I have some post-it notes. That just makes me super uncomfortable. So
you're joining the dark side. You're all in. Let's go.
what are you talking?
Just PC or no PC?
No, PC, yes, and I will fight anyone who says otherwise because BYD environments suck. So
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna try.
well,
Good luck
as
with
we
that.
started this
I'm not saying it's
conversation,
going everywhere. I will build a model of this that we will all experience together, and I'll let you know. We'll join live from the PC only classroom. Yeah, your speed
Yes.
ups, I get it.
I just can't.
agreed.
It's not that you can't do this at scale and across the board to make it for everybody. That's where you're at.
So here's the thing, though. Like I said, I was working this morning. The reason I was late to this call, I was working this morning, commissioning 27 new spaces.
You work?
Yes, it's this thing we do when we're on campus, like all of us are today.
From time to time.
I was commissioning 27 new spaces. If I go down there right now and unplug one HDMI connection in every one of them, which disconnects the dock cam from the switcher, and now the dock cam is only connected via USB to the PC, then I've already done it. So why couldn't I go do this right now? I could be back in 20 minutes and having done this.
Right.
You'd still have two, though. You'd have the HDMI.
I already said I backtrack, and I'm going to agree with Larry and provide that second one for the person to bring in their
Just
own
wanted to
laptop.
make sure you weren't backtracking on the backtrack.
What if?
But do
what if
you provide a post-it note and say all collaboration services are not included with this connection?
Yes, actually, it's not a post-it note.
Yeah.
It is engraved on the cable in tiny little lettering. But no,
Not to be used for anything other than
HDMI
video
connections
and
for
AV embedded audio?
BYOD is for presentation only. You want to talk to a camera or microphone, use that computer that is sitting 2 feet away. So.
And if everybody who's
That's
using
what I
that system
give them
needed
USB-C for.
that, see
Done.
where it's either just PC or only USB-C.
I do look
USB is
forward
not
to
mature enough to
maybe
pull it off.
And maybe some options in the future where computers are built where they will natively send the software video outputs that you don't have to have DisplayPort, you don't have to have HDMI. It just, if you want a network connection to your, just go.
So you're talking again application
Then
layer.
your monitor is more of a virtual monitor, and it networks to whatever you're sending it to. That's where this idea will really bring fruition to me.
I'm all about
and that's where
less.
I'm trying to get rid of some of these widgets and tchotchkes and movements. But
and Jamie, you're right. We talked about this probably 2 years ago or more, that it was surprising that Microsoft, if you recall, about 2 years ago, started integrating native NDI ingest into Teams. So you can have NDI.
that you have to have super privileges to get to.
Yeah, there are network and application layer problems with it. But it's there. Which says to me that they're basically one step away from just saying, hey, Windows 12 has NDI native across the board. And if they did that, then you're exactly where you want to be.
But this goes back to my whole bitching and moaning about, we got spatial audio in Teams, right? But you can't use PowerPoint to share directly into Teams and have presentation mode, right? There's no virtual share right out of, right? So you still have to go through this damn video output process to get this to go correctly. It's dumb.
Well, they can't even get Teams to talk properly with Outlook. So there's
365 for y'all. I'm getting you guys for Christmas.
365.
That's fun. Is having to use 2 different versions of Outlook to display the same things the right way and needing to go back and forth.
Beautiful.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
All right. Anyway, all right. So this is all coming.
I love the new licensing. It's 365 Premiere.
Yeah.
So
then you can get Copilot.
Look for your AI enabled PC device thingamawidget coming to every space near you in the next 7 to 12 years. But it'll happen soon enough.
It's coming.
It's coming. All right. We'll take a quick break. Come back. We're going to talk about the arms race for recruiting students with lots of arms.
I got nice arms.
Yes. Suns out, guns out. All right. Take a break here. With this one.
Bring your swords. Bring your swords. Bring your swords. Don't go on a job site without one. Bring 2 and 3 just to be sure. Bring your swords. It's amazing. It's astounding. It's unbelievable. Bring your swords. Don't take gigabytes and 6 pounds of pixel crushing resolution smashing prehistoric insanity. If you forget to bring one with you to your next AV integration, you better be dead or in jail. And if you're in jail, blank out. Remember, when you go to a job site, don't forget to bring a sword. Another fine product by Independent Amalgamate.
Killing those drums, Larry. You're killing those drums, buddy.
Yeah, Larry, I had somebody ask, they said, hey, whose band is that? I said, it was Larry's metal band.
Yeah.
Larry's a drummer in the metal band.
My garage.
All right. All right. So final topic here. This actually was, I guess, Mark, you've brought this up a number of times, and then Jamie said, Mark, I think this is legit, because here's an article from EdTech magazine about...
I did not verify.
That's all it takes is EdTech. If it's in EdTech, it's real.
Well, I think it was not so much it was in EdTech as much as somebody else said it. So it must now be real. And damn it, Mark was right.
It wasn't me. Yes. No,
but basically the concept being that as we're trying to recruit students, and I think all of us have this, you have your university welcome center, your alumni center, they're all very high tech and fancy, and they get all the bells and widgets. And that's because when students come to campus, that's the space they see first. And they are brought into the big room, and they're wowed with all the cool displays and all the, Jamie, to your point, the spatial audio showing off the promotional video shot about campus life and all that stuff. And then they're taken on a tour of campus showing only the best spaces and all the fun things to see.
It's the most over-the-top timeshare presentation you've ever seen.
Pretty much, yes. Just sign here. $1,400 a year gets you 2 weeks in beautiful Boca Raton.
I think a timeshare is a better investment.
You're the one who's just put 2 people into this. I don't know. Did you guys go to?
Yeah, I'm looking at my 3rd in a year.
No, yeah, you're right. We've brought this up in the past,
but more and more for recruiting, students are like, okay, I can get the education anywhere. They're more looking at the university life, and when they come to, they're like, it's all of it. What is this university bringing to the table? This one is clearly put some money into their new facilities. Look at their brand new rec center. Look at their new student union. Look at all this fancy stuff going on. I want to go here. And the other one, they're walking through concrete block with pull down screens and chalkboards, and they're thinking, I don't want to sit in this for 4 years.
Well, everybody has their online component, right, of teaching and learning, and it has the built-in price bump on what that costs because it's easy to do. But the online version doesn't pay for all the ancillary services that exist on campus, right? We need you here. I can't sell coffees in a coffee shop unless you're here. I can't sell other stuff unless you're here, right? And so there's a concerted effort to make sure that the student experience is actually premium. And that's how we look at it. Like the student experience needs to be premium because they can go wherever they want, right? And they're voting with their dollars and their feet. And so what are you doing to provide premium service for the dwindling pool of enrollment students that are out there? Like it, there it is again. Anyway, if there's less of them, then you have to put your best foot forward everywhere, right? And I think that's kind of what the basis of the article was, is that students are mindful and they can see the investments made, and that starts at leadership, that you have to put the money in there to prove to the students that you are investing in their experience. And long ago, we saw it in like athletics, right? And the different domains that's a good, you can see it coming because we all saw the arms race in the technology for the athletes. I think the common student is going to take a similar path.
It went from stadium and amenities for the fans, that's the donors, to locker rooms. And you're like, wait, or even, let's say, one of the things, one of the kids from my hometown went to Oregon, right? And one of his things is like, well, I mean, Nike rolls in a semi every week and just gives us shit.
Just opens the back and dumps like, shoes out. Here you go.
I mean,
you got to find them to the match.
You have to have some sort of talent to end up, getting a
I guess if that is the model, and they're attracting those students, and they recognize that at that age, the young kids, they can be wowed, right? And so the same thing can be said of the same age demographic coming through campus. You want to wow those students to bring them here. I mean, and I think NIL is a very interesting lens to view this from. Like, we are now paying students to play sports. Are we going to get a world where we're going to like pay students to go to school? Some may say we already do. And I think Justin was talking to us that he had a boatload of money at Western that they were going to pay students to attend school. Like, are we in that same world now where we're making the investments to attract the student talent, not just the athletics, but also the academic side?
I think that a few years ago, I didn't care. School was school was school. Every school had the same brick classrooms that you go to any one of our institutions, you're going to find 3 or 4 buildings that look exactly the same as some other institution, probably even has the same damn name on the corner. But as I started putting children in school, and now I'm a nerd, I notice these things, but I also listen to what other parents are saying. And what parents are saying is like, well, I'm investing in this also. The students are like, well, it's better than my high school. And in some cases, it's not. This is not better than my high school. Why am I paying all this money?
Well, you see the bill, right? You see the technology fees and all that stuff. It's like, you're footing that bill and you have this big giant technology fee. You want to go see where that technology fee is going.
And that's a valid point, Mark, because I've worked at universities that have, the modest technology fee, the $50, $100 a semester sort of thing, and other ones where they have a pretty significant one, $300, $400, $500. And when you see that, you're like, okay, there's 22,000 students here and they're all paying $500. Where's that $10 million a year going? And some schools have been like, wow, you can really see it. They are going all in and they're refreshing all the spaces, and look at all these, informal learning spaces all over the place, and lots of cuddle rooms, and there's an esports lounge and all this stuff. And other ones, you're like, where is all this money disappearing? Because the way those uniregs are written, they're going in, it's dumped into research dollars, or it goes into something else. And that paid for the new stadium, which you're not allowed in anyway. So that's 100% valid that those tech fees are critical because everybody has them now, and how are they being leveraged? Sorry, Jamie, go ahead.
No. And I think, Mark brought up a couple of years ago about his conversation with athletics is like your conference room, your facilities. This is your recruitment activity, right? If they walk in here and it's an Amazon, a Walmart special TV and a webcam, the kids are going to go, what? Why? But I think that is bleeding over into the classroom now. When I do college tours with my own children, or go visit some of your guys' institutions, I hear other comments. And because let's face it, us parents are forking over quite a bit of money into this whole scheme as well. And even the parents are going like, hold on, that building's awesome, but are all of them this way? And then you hear the 20-year-old tour guy go, blah, 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 blah.
But this is what's on the tour.
This building's special because this is the business school.
Do you ever come across those tours and like overhear what they're selling? Like when you do it, it's always the best. Like you want to see the real stuff? Follow me.
Come here, man.
I will show you. Like, let's go for
let's go look at this old dorm. They knocked down 2 walls and made it into a classroom.
But we're seeing dorms arms race in dorms, right? It's all to get.
Yes, it's all like super Airbnb, man. Like we got to go. Like let's get it.
We've got to get it, and I think classrooms are becoming the same. And now it's you know, can I see it? Does it look good? And you know, does it fulfill what I need it to fulfill? I don't hear it much from instructors and things. This is all about the student dollars. And to Mark's point earlier, they're voting with their feet. It's just way too easy to move. It's way too easy. It didn't used to be that way when we transferred back in the day, right? You had to like fill out 18,000 pages of applications, and then it was horrible. Now it's click, 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 go.
Done.
And you're moved.
Yep.
You're moving in next week.
So it's a limit. The pool's, you know, it's dwindling. And so I think, you know, it is mindful to look at your leadership and how their perspective, are they making the investments in that infrastructure that is as forward facing as possible for students? You know, where's that going? And as you're touring, for the parents out there are touring, look at your spaces. You know, when you're on those tours, ask, like, is this a normal classroom? Is this a special space? Like, ask like the questions about what is the student technology experience in a teaching and learning like. They may not be able to answer it, but then go in and look. You know, what does it look like? Is there cables hanging down from the ceiling? Is it clean? Is it dressed? Like, you know, what does it look like? When you're walking through the building, just open a round door and look in there. One of the classrooms. Like, yeah, they're taking you on the one they want you to see, but I bet you the other one's unlocked. Peek in there. Take a look.
And it's not all. And here's what I also want to stress in our world. It's not always just what's in the classroom, right? I can tell you that the LMS systems and how they're set up between my two children's schools, and then what we're running, and then what some of the other schools, institutions, I'm like, that's a big technology fee. And some of them, my son's school in particular, he logged in, and it truly was a one-stop shop for everything that kid needed, from his LMS to his financial aid to paying his bill. There was not this hopping around to these 17 different departments and portals. It was one.
Yep.
I'm like, holy crap, this is not a giant school, and they got it right.
The Amazon experience.
And then I look at other schools that I am a little bit closer to, and I'm like, there's 7 portals just to approve time. Right? Come on. But that's also a place to look too, is look over while your kid is applying, while they're looking at financial aid packages during the whole setup time, or even afterwards they're in school. Let me see your LMS. That might tell you a lot. What's Canvas? Is it whatever? You might be surprised. That's, I mean, we
7
all
different
know it's
portals,
expensive.
each with their own HDMI cable. So you can choose which one you want.
Well, I have to use Moodle for these 2 classes and Canvas for these 3 other ones. And then this other one uses Teams, but not university Teams. I have to have my own account to get into it.
That's right.
That doesn't seem, you should probably drop that one.
There you go. Yeah.
Well, and one thing we didn't bring
wisely.
up was, and it's not directly AV related, but a lot of the question about student technology and access to student technology talks about devices. Students who pay a tech fee, and does that tech fee over 4 years? Do they get a brand new laptop on day one? Are they provided with all sorts of repair and support services, and then they take that with them when they're done? And we do that here, not to bring it up, but we provide, you know, unlimited support for anybody's device. You bring it in, because that's a student-facing technology service to basically say, yeah, bring in your ancient 3-year-old Chromebook running whatever weird thing, and someone here for no charge is going to sit there and work with you to try to get your courses loaded and all that stuff. And that's what they do. There is a service that we provide for that. So that improves that student experience. And that one's a pretty low hanging fruit. It is certainly cost intensive because you have to have staff there to do that on every possible device.
Gobs of legacy support.
But that's one of the decisions made here was, from an IT perspective, from a technology perspective, for a student-facing technology, that's a pretty low-hanging fruit to tackle. So look for that sort of thing. And then, you know, also look for those opportunities to build out student access spaces. Is that the right term? Student accessible spaces, however you want to phrase that are a little more elegant, a little fancier, schmancier, and you don't have to go all in with like, oh, the LED walls everywhere. You know, sometimes just putting a 86-inch, you know, display on the wall with an HDMI connection and let them do whatever the hell they want with it. You know, that's, if they want to bring in an Xbox and do that.
USB chargers in the furniture.
USB freaking everywhere.
One thing you can do, advocate for USB charging anywhere in any project in which you're going to be in.
Or even just general charging, because students are carrying around their power supplies. We have a new building that's, or a space in a new space in a building that's being worked on. And they have flexible furniture and flexible seating and soft seating and all this fun stuff. And I said, well, where's the power? Well, it's along here on the walls. I said, great. You realize on day 2, There's going to be power strips and extension cords everywhere because the students are very savvy about finding how to get to electricity because they need that. Every 3 to 6 hours, they have to charge up all their stuff. And so you need to provide that.
It's being stuck at an airport. What do you need when you're at an airport?
We had, before pandemic, we were advocating to put the USB chargers like in every outlet, everything, everywhere. If it's got to get touched, put one of these things in. And we had some administration pushback because they wanted to buy the airport chargers and charge the students to charge their phones.
Worst version of that.
And we go, why would you do that? They're just going to start plugging them into the computers. Well, we'll just turn the USB ports on the computers off.
Should never be looking at that from like a money-making
That administration is gone. That administration is gone, but it is like, come on. It is cell phone power. Come on.
Or they VE them out. We took them out, but we got these fancy $40 billion ottomans over here. It's like, cool.
Yeah, the furniture. The furniture stuff is an aggravation because I understand you want nicer furniture, you want comfortable furniture, etc. But when you look at a project budget and 2% of that is the technology, and you're pinching pennies to get the project done and do what it needs to do, and yet they're talking about their $400,000 for new furniture, seating areas, and it's aggravating. So. All right. Well, don't do that. Put in better technology for students. The end.
Did we flex? I think you flexed, Mark. I think that's what this whole little segment was about. Was Mark's flex. Look how smart I was a few years ago, you idiots.
Yeah. Put power everywhere.
And a blind squirrel will find a nut sometimes. So
I thought you were going to say even the sun shines in a dog's ass sometimes. But yeah, you spout off enough stuff. Eventually, something's going to be correct, right?
Some of it's going to, broken.
Well, as Larry pointed out, I apparently contradicted myself and had to pivot that pretty quickly and try to lump that in together. I don't remember what I said last time.
Hey, it's one of my few wins, so I marked it down.
See, now you're
Take
flexing.
the victory, man.
Well, we'll look back on this show as our predictions for 3 to 5 years from now and see how correct we were or something. So, I agree that we'll come back and talk about it next week.
Fix that fire alarm.
Well, we've managed to ruin yet another episode of AV Super Friends Off the Rails. You can contact us with questions, topic ideas, or general complaints at mailbag@avsuperfriends.com. If you complain loud enough, we might just invite you on the show.
Nice work, everyone. Sharp broadcast. Really good. Everyone on the floor as well. Really a lot of hustle. I liked it.
The opinions expressed by the AV Super Friends are solely those of the individuals and do not represent their respective institutions, organizations, companies, or clients.
Get ready to plug in and rock out at the most electrifying event of the summer. It's time for Widget Fest, the ultimate celebration of audiovisual innovation. Join us for 3 days of non-stop excitement where the biggest names in commercial presentation electronics take the stage and showcase the latest and greatest in adapters and widgets. Widget Fest! From HDMI to USB-C, from balanced to unbalanced, from SDI to RGB, HV, and everything in between. Widget Fest has got you covered, a massive venue filled with cutting-edge technology and electrifying performances. Feel the energy as the biggest names in the industry come together to unveil the latest adapters, converters, and widgets live on stage. Widget Fest. Immerse yourself in a world of audiovisual wonders with interactive exhibits, hands-on demos, and exclusive product launches. Whether you're a tech enthusiast, a professional in the field, or just someone who loves to stay ahead of the curve, Widget Fest is the place to be. Widget Fest! But that's not all. Widget Fest isn't just about gadgets and gizmos. It's also about the experience. Enjoy delicious food from gourmet vendors, refreshing drinks, connect with fellow tech enthusiasts from around the globe, and dive for loose change in the world's second largest playpen ball pit. It's a weekend you'll never forget. Widget Fest! So mark your calendars and Get ready to experience the future of audiovisual technology at Widget Fest 2024. Tickets are selling fast, so don't miss your chance to be part of the excitement. Get ready to plug in, turn up the volume, and join us for the ultimate celebration of adapters and widgets. Widget Fest, coming soon. Widget Fest, brought to you by Independent Amalgamated.